Welcome to the Modern Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Giordani. Special guest today, realtor, developer, owns a team here in San Diego, my friend, Andrew Greer.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, brother. How are you?
That's cool. Surviving, doing the thing. It's just before the beginning of the year, so.
I like it. Well, we're going to get into just what we were talking about because we'll just keep it going.
Yeah.
We were just talking about 75 hard. So when I go on my little quick diet spurts, I'm 30 days in, I'll be somewhat not restrictive, and then take a break and then go back for 30 days again just to shock the body and get right back into it. You just finished 75 hard. How was that?
It was hard.
Yeah.
It was worth it for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wanted to end the year strong.
Yeah.
It definitely helped me with that. And I feel I changed a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think if you knew me before that and you know me now, you're like, holy crap, I lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
That definitely happened. But time management, just maintaining a diet, and other things, just in business being more efficient, came out of it.
Interesting. Were you lethargic, like a typical diet, or was it strong energy throughout the whole thing?
Yeah, so I had fairly solid energy until evening, 7 o'clock. I was smoked.
Yeah,
because I was doing the 2 workouts. My diet was very simple, and I tell people this because people are like, "Oh, what was your diet?" It turned out so well, and I was like, I didn't do any fast food at all.
Okay.
And I was like, everything else from there, just try and eat healthy. Super basic.
So not even a healthy Chick-fil-A bowl, or not even a healthy Chipotle bowl, or Chick-fil-A, a healthy Chick-fil-A?
So I could have gone to Chipotle and gotten a bowl. Mm-hmm. I never did.
Okay.
It just didn't seem right once I got into it.
Sure.
But I got not fast food, but I picked up some food from places just because I had to. Mm-hmm. But it allowed me to plan around it. And I'd say anyone really trying to do it, don't go I'm going to go fully ketone diet or some
just
crazy
chicken and rice the whole time.
Yeah. You're not gonna see success. Mm-hmm. And then the nice thing too is if you make it simple and within a clean parameters, you see yourself doing a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because it's not you feel like you're forced the whole time.
Yeah. I love that.
So yeah. Oh yeah. Get that a little closer.
Yeah. It's just you're. You don't have to include that. Yeah. That's awesome, man. And then you're starting another 30-day. I didn't know that there was 3 stages to it.
Yeah, so I actually haven't even looked at the phase after the next phase.
Okay.
This phase now, so 75 hard, then there's phase 1. It adds a 5-minute cold shower or cold plunge, mm-hmm. and then your daily task list and something else. I'd have to look at what it is. Mm-hmm. It prompts you in the app. Mm-hmm. It's hey, let us know when you want to start this.
Sure.
And then everything else from 75 hard, and that's for 30 days. Mm-hmm. So I know that's the next step. And I know there's people who are I want to look at the whole thing and know oh, what's phase 2, what's phase 3? Not the way I work. Mm-hmm. I'm what's the next step? There's a plan, cool. To who designed the plan, cool, it works. I'm just going to follow the plan and do it and trust it. So I'm not even looking at phase 2 or 3 yet, and whatever they are, I'm going to do them. Mm-hmm. But right now, I'm just going to go do phase 1, starting, it's either January 1st, January 2nd. I have a few people starting 75 hard, mm-hmm. so I'm going to time it with them so that we're all starting together, and then we can, kind of enjoy some of the same benefits at the same time.
I always think that 75 hard is a habit stacking hack, ultimate hack for getting your habits right. I mean, I know actually, you inspired me when you did your 70. How many books did you read that one year?
Oh, I did 124 books, I think it was.
Insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. I did 42 this year, and that was a lot.
Yeah.
But you inspired me actually to do the goal for this past year, or technically this year still. Well, it's December 29th.
Yeah, a couple more days.
Yeah, a couple more days. But dude, it was a lot. It was a lot. I can only imagine over 100.
Yeah, so that was somewhere short.
Right.
But it was where I was at in my life, mm-hmm. and I had a brand new daughter, and I was taking her on walks every day. Mm-hmm. And she'd fall asleep, so I'd leave the Audible in, and mm-hmm. I was just consuming the books during that time. I think I read 4 of them in actual books. Everything else was Audible.
Yeah, same.
And I still remember, dude. It still sticks in my side, and I love it because one guy was like, "Hey, you're reading so many books. How can you get anything from it?" And I was like, one, you haven't done it, so don't tell me what to do. And then two, I was like, well, if I get 1% better from every book, I'm 124% better.
Yeah.
And I kind of shut him up a little bit, but I also don't care.
Someone told me the same thing too. I've seen it like a couple people, because I would share mine on my story. And I've gotten that a few times. And it's funny because, no, I'm not getting a ton out of each book, but I'm getting a few little takeaways from every book, which I think is the most important thing. It's not about, like, sure, like, the reading of it, but you're not going to retain all that information. Like, no one can retain all that. I just don't think that's possible unless you're sitting there highlighting each page, putting sticky notes, but you're still going back, so you're really not retaining it unless you have to go back to it and see what your notes are. So, yeah, fuck those people.
Yeah. And I look at it, and you'll see this next year, the year after, and the year after that. All of a sudden, you're going to be in a situation, and an idea is going to pop up that feels like your idea, but you're going to be like, that came from somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what book or what it came from or what I consumed, but I've solidified these paths in my brain that allow me to think a little bit differently just from that small amount of consumption. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, we should do it like this. And people are like, oh, yeah, like from this book. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I did read that book. Yeah, maybe it was from that book. So that's what I like about it.
Did you start, when you challenged yourself to do that many books, were you going through like kind of a weird time in your life besides having kids?
You know, having kids is a weird time in your life no matter what.
It's true.
But I was trying to go from doing deals to running a business. And that's what I was really focused on, because I was like, I have to figure out how to manage my time better, because I could put all my time in. I could run to Home Depot. I could run to the city. I could do all those things. And I was like, I got to figure out how to get better at this, hire people, and make things make sense. Otherwise, I'm not going to see my kid. Mm-hmm. So, and now I have two, so it's even harder.
Yeah.
So came from that need. So
interesting. It's basically getting rid of the hustler mentality to the CEO mentality.
Yeah. And the hustler mentality is, as hard as it is really easy compared to going to like the CEO mentality where you have to let go of things.
I think the hustler mentality it's easy to stay there.
Oh yeah.
And it's a lot harder to delegate, especially like when you feel like you're good at those things. But it's funny, once you realize that you can delegate a little bit more, you're like, oh man, they're actually better than me at doing that than what I was.
Oh yeah.
So it's crazy.
There's some stuff I'm very confident in, like zoning plays, stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, that's got to stay here. But now in my head, I'm like, I got to be able to have more people looking at them.
Totally.
There's other stuff I'm like, yeah, no, I for sure can't do that nearly as good as you can.
100%.
So
yeah, I want to get into a little bit of the real estate stuff. But first, how did you get into real estate? I don't even know, because we talk a lot, but it's the different levels of where we're at, and we're talking about real estate deals.
Yeah.
But I don't know your story behind getting into real estate.
It's actually a little bit of an unusual path. I was in school and a stockbroker. So I became a stockbroker.
That's right. You told me that.
And I don't know, the market had a little bit of a hiccup when I started, and things got pretty rough, and I had previously been a bartender. And I was going up to my office, and do you remember Winvest?
Maybe.
They were a hard money lender.
Okay.
They did a bunch out here. I got in the elevator, and the bar manager got in the elevator, and he was like, hey, you work here? And I was like, yeah, I work here. I hadn't seen him in years. And he was like, yeah, I'm getting a loan. I'm flipping some houses. And I was like, really? Can I get your card? I'd love to chat with you about it, because I was not really liking it. I saw a lot of people lose a lot of money. So call him, go get lunch with him. He's like, yeah, I'm flipping houses. This is what it looks like. This is what it is. We're going to do a fund. And I was like, I can help you write a fund, because I had done private placements. So I was like, I'll help you write a fund. You teach me how to flip. And a couple weeks later, he was like, yeah, let's do that. So I left my job, just quit.
No way.
Still hadn't graduated from college. So I was like, I'm going to quit. I'm going to help these guys. I'm going to jam out like 21 units, get my degree, because I just felt like I needed it. Haven't used it since. Get my degree and help these guys start this fund. I started the fund with them, worked with them for like 4 months, learned what to do, what not to do, and then went out on my own. And basically, in that time, I was working for them. I was free. They weren't paying me. I got a bartending job again back. He helped me get one. So I started bartending, and did that, left there, and I was like, I'm bartending at night, Monday through Friday. And then during the day, I'm flipping houses. And I sat at my kitchen table, and I was like, can't leave your table until you get a deal. And it took me 4 months to get mine had been like 6 months. 4 months for him to answer and like say he was going to meet with me, 6 months to get him to sign.
Wow.
And then did my first flip, and then I started grabbing more flips, figuring it out. Was bartending. I had 3 or 4 flips going, and I realized I was like, oh, I have enough cash. I can step out of the bar. Stepped out of the bar, and that's when things like really took off.
What year was that?
That was 2011 or 12.
Okay. And it wasn't very popular back then. I got into real estate in 2009. It was definitely
it was
not a thing.
It was a whole thing, and it was interesting because I was in that one class a semester to stay at SDSU while I was a broker, and I did labor economics, and we did something, I can't remember what it was. We broke down cycles, and they're like, real estate is at its lowest value and lowest market value right now as a job. I was like, And the professor was like, that should challenge you to go into that market because it's not at its top. He's like, everyone wants to get in here. You want to get in here. And I was like, huh. And then it was a couple weeks later, I saw my old bar manager. So it's kind of, I always just wanted to work for myself.
Yeah, of course.
And that was, it could have been, I always told people, I could have just been a porta potty guy that sold porta potties.
Right.
And if it was a business I owned that I was in charge of, I wouldn't have cared. That's all I cared about.
Did you get your real estate license while doing that, or was it a while afterwards?
I got my real estate license, I think in 2013 or 14.
Okay.
I think I'm going to say 13 because, it was 10 years this year. So I got it after a couple years in because we'd had my first deal. We were supposed to close. It was for sale by owner. And I called them. I was like, hey, are we closing today? They hadn't released contingencies. They hadn't done anything. I called the bank. A kid answered. It was like not even a real lender. And we fell out of escrow that day.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, I got to figure out how these transactions actually work.
Right.
So learned a little bit about it. Worked with a few agents that brought me deals.
Sure.
Sold them.
Right.
Same today. But I was like, there's a lot of money I'm leaving on the table if I can do this. And then I started doing that, and then I just created funnels around being a flipper, being a developer for getting deals. So it's like my space is selling that kind of stuff. I 100%. Enjoy that.
Yeah. Did you were you just cold calling for the first 4 months when you got your first deal?
I was primarily door knocking. Oh. Like we would get door knocking lists, and then we go on the MLS. And it was a different time. We would go out and look for property, and we would make sure there weren't more than 3 or 4 houses for sale on the block. Because I don't know if you remember how many houses were for sale.
A lot.
And it was all NOTs and all REOs.
Yep.
And it was like, oh, this has been an NOT for 2.5 years. And, maybe they're going to take it. And the people are like, we're not leaving. Like, we're not going to leave.
Right.
Like, they're not charging us.
Yeah, they wouldn't get foreclosed on for years.
Yeah.
In some cases. Yeah. I got my license in 2009, so that time was I didn't know any better.
And it's so hard to explain to people, like, I think of, like, Gulf Crest and San Carlos. You could drive down Gulf Crest and see 15 for sale signs. There was more for sale signs than there weren't.
Right.
It was wild.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. Now looking back, our market right now is the weirdest I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you, because, 2009 was just completely different. It's crazy. So 2013 was your first deal? 2012?
2011 to 12. So I think we closed in 11, actually sold in 12.
What was your profit on that deal?
That deal we made just under $100K.
Oh wow! Back then, that's
on a $247,000 sales price.
Yeah, that's wow.
It was
that's stupid.
And I think we could have made I bought it for $105.
Right.
And it was a 1,100 square foot rehab back then. It's like $30,000.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like stressing on my monthly payment, and it was like $1,200.
So dumb.
Yeah.
To now think back, what eventually, I'm assuming that you started scaling that a little bit more. So 13, so 12 was your first deal. 13, how many deals did you start doing like the years afterwards?
We quickly by 14 moved into just big flips.
Okay.
So we were doing additions. That's when we did our first land deals. So everything we did was like a 6 to like 16 or 18 month project.
Wow.
So we went very opposite of everybody. And that's where we quickly went into new construction. So I think I've done just shy or maybe just over 100 flips.
Okay.
So we didn't do a ton of flips.
Sure.
And we didn't do any lipstick on a pig at all. Nothing was. So we scaled that up, but then quickly I wanted to do basically land deals. I thought it was the best, some of the best and worst deals I've ever done. And then quickly from there, I mean, I guess it seems like it was like 7 years, 8 years we were doing it, but it feels like it was like a year.
Yeah, I feel like you were one of the first people who I was watching who was doing things very differently than the traditional model that you see being done for the traditional real estate investor here, at least.
Yeah.
Even other areas too. There's not a lot of people who are still doing the developments, and which was interesting. What when you were looking at land deals, what were you looking for?
What I was looking for and what I ended up starting to look for were very different. I was just looking for big lots, and big lots sometimes mean big problems. So I was looking for big lots in neighborhoods to build houses because we started with building houses. I quickly learned in the state of California, it's very difficult to meet water requirements as far as stormwater. So I was like, we want to go small lots, high density. So we switched that. And that was back in 2016. They changed all the water requirements. So we had deals that we bought in 15 that were grandfathered in. And then I didn't really do any home deals that were on large lots after that. So I did stuff in like Oceanside. I did Escondido, La Mesa, National City. And then I did custom homes in Pacific Beach, designed, sold the plans. And then Mission Hills is my last home project that I'm doing, literally finishing right now. 2 are under contract.
Oh, wow.
And I might do more of those. I really liked this deal. Both
The one
from
at Mission Hills?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really cool. Good profit and really cool product. So our apartments are really great rentals, not really cool.
Right.
So these are cool. You can be proud of them.
Yeah.
And I like that. I would change a million things about how I approached it because we used some unusual parts of the code that created unusual problems that we then solved. And I realized, path of least resistance, like I'd probably do more townhomes versus actual homes, just from so many things, cost perspective, time perspective.
How long did it take you for that one?
This one took 5 years.
Holy shit. I don't know if I'd have the patience for something like that.
I didn't know I had it.
Yeah.
This one had a lot of issues. It was on a corner. They said it actually faced another one. I fought them for months on it facing the other street, which it had to work. And then it was mapped into a subdivision next to it. Then it got released and COVID hit. And then we were finalizing the permit through COVID. And it got to the point where it was done, costs had shift, but values hadn't shift. So we're like, okay, how are we going to do this? Is it going to work? Well, we made it work. We figured out how to get it done, got it there. Then we went to start construction. We had 4 months of rainouts, so we couldn't get the foundations poured. We just didn't get 7 clear days for 4 months when we were ready. And then we had an issue with a neighbor encroaching that changed some of the site issues. We had to go negotiate that, which we shouldn't have had to, but it was basically like talk to our lawyer or do this. And we were like, we just got to do that. We can't talk to their lawyer. It's going to cost too much because we'd already pulled the construction loan.
Right.
So yeah, there was a lot of hangups there. And then I would have been done about 3 weeks ago, but SDG&E held us up now. So now we finally have pre-con next week to actually get them done. I've already sold 2 of them. So I'm ready to get them gone.
It's interesting that the way that you're explaining it, I'm like, man, this process seems complicated, right? For the average person to get into land development or building new construction or anything like that. Where for me, it's like fix and flips. We have a process, our system, like it's not complicated. Most of the time you don't have to get permits and different things that doesn't take you a long time. What's the difference? We talked about profit per deal on your first flip for $100,000. What would be like your cost of development? Like let's use Mission Hills as an example. What's your total cost into it?
This one should be, don't quote me because I don't know.
No,
for sure.
This is rough numbers.
We're going to be right around 4 million, okay. 4.1.
And then the exit?
It's going to be 7.2.
Okay. So 3 million after 4 years of full time. Yeah. Okay, that's not bad.
So there is commissions in there for the other side. So let's
2.5 million. Yeah. Okay.
It works.
Yeah. I mean, instead of my like 15 deals, you just need one big one.
Yeah.
Actually, it would be more than that, right? 15 deals. No, maybe like 20 deals, 25 deals.
I remember when we were trying to pull 40,000 out of $300,000 houses. Mm-hmm. And now everything has to be 6-figure in San Diego. There's no way. You can have a 6-figure swing on accident. Mm-hmm. You could just have a problem.
Yep.
Get flagged, get stopped. Mm-hmm. Like,
there's a lot of things that can happen or go wrong. I look at some of the coaching program that I'm a part of. Most of the people are in the Midwest. Arizona has a pretty solid price profit per deal. Nevada, a lot of those people are still like at that 25, 35 mark. But I think of people like they're based out of Ohio, and their minimum is 25,000. So I think their average profit per deal is like 28.5. And I'm like, I don't know that I would get. I mean, this sounds bad, but out of bed to go do a flip for $28,000. Like the amount of work and headache and everything else that goes into it, it just, to me, it just doesn't seem worth it for me.
Yeah, that's what I used to say back when we were flipping is I was like, I'm not getting out of bed for less than 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it's just, there's too much that can go wrong. And it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, 30,000. It's nothing to scoff at. But if it takes you 120 days, it's not a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's different when if someone trying to do their first deal to go make 20 or 30,000, that may be exciting to them.
Oh hell yeah!
But we're like, I'm not at that place, and I'm sure you're not at that place either, where it doesn't make sense anymore. You've slowed down on the flipping side? You're just doing.
Yeah, I mean, I've flipped, but we didn't sell apartments. Mm-hmm. So bought an 8-unit, renovated the whole thing, and kept it. Mm-hmm. And that's really like what I want to do. I'm doing some flips here this next year. Hopefully we have a contract going out at 5 tonight. We went over the guy.
Nice.
He does it, flip it in-house with my team. Mm-hmm. So that way they can take part in it. There's a desire for that. And if it makes sense, like I just kind of comes down to, it has to make a great amount of money to put the energy into it because there's so many other things to do.
Right.
So that's but I'm not going to go. I would like to do like 3 flips a year.
Sure.
And I think I can do that with the team.
Oh yeah, I mean,
because we get opportunities.
Absolutely,
so,
100%. What? How many rentals do you have right now? How many doors?
48.
48 doors. Okay. What? Are they all multi-units or single family mixture?
The smallest are duplexes. There's some duplexes in there.
Cool.
And then I have 8 more that we're starting on construction in January.
That you're gonna keep?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what you would look at when you're looking for a new rental to add to portfolio. What are you looking at?
The most important thing is that there's missed value. Mm-hmm. There has to be missed value, something that we can go in and buy it and not instantly, but over the course of 6 to 12 months, create additional value. Where my goal is, can I put capital in, close the deal, spend money to renovate, do whatever we're going to do, and then when I refinance, get my capital back out and have an asset that cash flows. So there has to be, either poor management, missed opportunity in adding additional units, which is like the number one play in San Diego right now. I'm liking a little bit more premium that's undervalued. Mm-hmm. So as your business changes, you either put more time in or more money.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is to put more money and less time.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, let's go find something that's a little bit nicer where I can buff it up a little bit and then fix like an economic vacancy issue or fix a, oh, there's no AC in this building. Cool. We're going to spend $150,000, give everyone AC, turn it over and get an extra $400 per unit, you know, or we go in, we add solar, and then we put it on virtual net metering, so we get the revenue off of that, increase NOI, go refinance, stuff like that. So places where I can go a little bit more traditional on creating value.
Okay.
But I also I do like just really beat up stuff too, stuff that's going to, if you can put a lot of money into it to make it work, we're more interested than if it's nice.
Yeah, I like that. What and are you still doing and for people that don't know, in San Diego you have the TPA zones, the transit priority area, where you're allowed to add additional units per zoning. There's a lot of other terms that that I don't know. Are you still looking at those and doing those?
Yeah, TPA is gone starting next year.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's going to be SDA. It's going to be really complicated.
What does that mean?
Sustainable development area.
Okay.
So the easiest way to go from here to here, TPA would allow you to go as the crow flies to a bus. So some places it was TPA, but it actually wasn't TPA. SDA goes from a mile out to 1 mile out by foot in a manner that you could walk at a pace of 3 miles an hour. So if you look at San Diego's mobility scale, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. They rate it based on sidewalks, 3/4 with no sidewalk, all these different things. So some houses that were in TPA are going to fall out, but overall, more property is going to end up in SDA, and SDA is going to have all the requirements of TPA, the benefits, plus a few more. I have to nail these down. I'm presenting to SDAR on all the new laws.
Oh, shit.
So I have to nail it down, there's different parking requirements or lack of parking requirements, and they've expanded out these zones dramatically. So I'm still looking at that. That's our play, but there are TPA houses that fell off. So the property I'm trying to buy tomorrow is the second to last SDA house in a metro neighborhood. I don't want to say which one because you could actually figure it out from that.
No, yeah, it's all good. That's interesting. It's going to be more challenging, you think, with the new?
No, it's going to be less challenging.
Oh.
But what's going to happen is that, let's say 1 out of every 1,000 homes is going to end up falling off that was on before.
Okay.
But an additional, if there was 1,500 homes and we'll say 750 were in TPA, now there's going to be 950.
Okay.
So you lost 1, gained another 199.
Okay. Interesting. I wonder if, because obviously parking has been a big issue. We've talked about that in the past with specific you don't even need parking with certain areas when you're adding, let's say it was a single family house or a duplex and you're adding 7 or 8 units to it. You weren't required to have parking in certain areas.
Yeah.
You think that's going to change?
I think they're getting way less strict.
Oh, less strict.
I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a value shift in the market for having parking. I think there's going to be a massive value shift on having 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units.
Versus the 1-1s.
There's so many 1-1s in studios coming. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Well, it's cheap to build them.
Yeah.
Right? The cost to build those were nothing.
Pound for pound,
Yeah.
they win. But if you have that economic vacancy, or not economic, just vacancy from people, you put somebody in a studio, they get a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, one of them's moving out of their place. So you're going to have turnover like crazy. You get a 1-bedroom, a little bit more sufficient, self-sufficient, but there's so many options. Now you step up to the 2. Well, maybe you're not getting as much per square foot, but you're keeping people.
Yeah. I would think that they would stay longer. I bought a 1-bedroom condo, and I never think that I would ever have bought a rental that was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. But I did just because of where I got it at. But yeah, it's crazy. I would not be surprised if the turnover is every year, every other year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just, you can't grow with it.
No. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I was younger, I was always constantly or dating someone. It's like you can't last that long in in a one bedroom.
Yeah.
Plus, it's small. You know, at a certain point, you're going to get claustrophobic just living there yourself. Yeah, it's crazy. Big goals for this next year: 3 flips, growing the team.
Grow the team. I want to do a few more ADU deals. I say ADU, I mean multifamily. I'm so used to, because we just bolt on ADUs. But really, the goal is to really build out the team a lot further. Build out our systems. I'd like to have another office in Arizona.
Oh, nice. Cool.
So that's a big goal of mine. I want to have a spot in Scottsdale.
Nice.
And just really nail down our systems. And then, I mean, you've seen all the stuff we do online.
Right.
We're trying to expand our footprint.
Right. That's awesome, dude. Do you have family in Scottsdale?
I have some family, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just random.
It's my wife's uncle lives out there. My wife's sister. My brother lives over in Mesa.
Okay.
So, and then my other brother's in Mesa too. But it's really, I like that market for what it offers.
Okay.
I think there's a lot that can go on there. I want to retire. I want to have a house there. I don't want to live there full time, but I love going out there in the winter.
Interesting. Do you don't like Palm Springs?
You know, it's just
I think
different.
you and I, I think you and I had this conversation.
Yeah.
We were talking about Scottsdale versus Palm Springs, I think.
Yeah, it's different to me. Scottsdale's just.
You still have a little younger.
Yeah.
Still.
And it's like desert mountain is what I really love out there. It's beautiful. It's premium. I mean, and you're going to surround yourself with people that are doing similar things.
Yeah.
So, and that's my goal, is spend as much time with people that are doing the same things and have the same mindset. Like, I can't be around anyone that says they can't do something or is negative.
Brings you down, yeah.
Freaking kills me.
Yeah,
I hate, I can't do that. You're like, shut up.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, dude. Get the fuck out of here with that shit, dude. That's like the number one way to like get under my skin, is to be negative or say you can't do something.
Is that a struggle with the team sometimes?
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's part of it. My job in that, to be positive, is to be the one that helps them get there.
Right.
So the deal I make for them is like, I need you to be positive. And the reinforcement you get is that I'm going to make sure that you get the solution to the problem that you have. But let's just change words. Words mean so much. Like, when someone says, I can't afford something, I'm like, it's not what you say. I can't get that right now.
You know, it's funny. I hate this, when people say I can't afford something. I don't know why it bothers me so much, because after if you want something bad enough, you just work harder to go get it. So anything that was unattainable, maybe for someone, but I would never say that I can't afford it. I will always try to afford it somehow. And if I can't afford it and I buy it, I'm going to work very hard to make sure that I can afford it 10 times over again.
Yeah.
It's just a weird mindset shift. And like having that abundance mindset is so important. It drives me crazy when I hear that stuff.
Dude, it's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
Like, I'll turn, what? Like,
Yeah.
keep that away from me.
Yeah.
I don't want anything like that.
Yeah. But it could be a product of their surrounding or how they were raised or different things. But after a while, you have to really have that. You can do anything you want to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I if anyone's done it, I can do it. It's how that's not how I was raised. That's not anything that was like put on me.
Sure.
That was something that I put on myself. I was actually told I couldn't do certain things.
Same.
And I was like, no, that's actually not the truth.
Yeah.
But I figured that out after toiling.
Yeah. I mean, I was raised by a single mother, so she was a teacher, so barely, made a ton of money. So I've always in that mindset of things like weren't attainable until you really have to train yourself and grow out of that mindset.
Yeah.
Or else you could be stuck there forever and blame everyone else for your problems.
Yeah. That's another guideline of mine. You can never blame anybody else.
Yeah.
And obviously you can always blame somebody for something happening.
Sure.
But I'm going to step back and be like, well, I couldn't have introduced them into my life.
Yeah.
Like, why did I let that person in?
Right. What are you seeing today? The market, let's say, I'm not going to use the word challenging, but where are you seeing success?
Success is happening in people that are engaging in conversation. And that comes from cold calling. That comes from putting events on. That comes from being around people and hearing what they're looking for. And all the people that say they can't afford, showing them they can afford. Mm-hmm. And actually going out, and if you're, let's say, basically, you're getting divorced, you got to sell. Mm-hmm. You know, there's some people, like finding the people that have to versus want to.
Right. We're in a life event market.
Yeah. Like there's always going to be someone that needs to buy and sell. Mm. And I do think that, one, people gravitate towards people that are positive. Mm. And if you're having conversations with them, asking them, answering questions, inviting them into things, you're going to get stuff done. My agents that talk, my agents that host events, my agents that bring people to our events are the agents that are closing.
Yeah.
And I mean, David on my team, you know David, he had his best year ever last year.
It's crazy. That's awesome.
And he would have had a year probably twice as good in a regular market, mm-hmm. but he still had his best year because he finally got it, did all the steps.
Yeah.
And it's just being in conversation, getting on the phones, calling people. I mean, the deal we're working today, it's cold call. Mm-hmm. You know, hey, you want an offer? Oh, you know, I want one in 18 months. Well, perfect. Let me come give you one today. We'll close today. You sell or carry it, and we'll take it in 18 months. Mm-hmm. That's what we offered him, and he said, okay, and we gave him a price, and he's good with it.
Nice.
So don't want to jinx it before he signs it, but it looks like it's going the right direction.
That's awesome, man.
But
yeah, I think people forget, and I don't know, maybe COVID like fucked things up for people with being lazy and being in a good market. When you're in a good market, people tend to slow down and not be the best at what they're doing. They're just good because of the market and not because of their skills.
Yeah. And it's, if you can close somebody on 2 touches versus, 14, 15 touches like he usually takes.
Right.
Because they're, I got this interest rate burning a hole in my pocket because I can go spend $1 million and my mortgage is going to be $4,500. Totally different than I'm going to spend $1 million, my mortgage is going to be $8,500.
Right.
You have to have the conversations and be there. And hey, do you know your mortgage is now only $7,000, and if it keeps going this direction, maybe we can get it lower later. But at that point, people are going to be paying more.
Right.
Oh, interesting. Explain to me what you mean.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's sit down.
It's more conversations, more touches. And Dave is really good, like just from the social aspect too. He's really good at sharing things and adding almost like you know him, like you feel like you know the guy just from what he does on social media too, which is cool.
Yeah, he is the opposite of me. Like I feel like people know what I do, but they don't know who I am. Mm-hmm. And I guess I put stuff out there, but I don't put out who I am like he does.
Right.
Like I feel like people are very drawn to him, and he has a very good, positive, upbeat mentality and personality.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean you're positive, you're upbeat, but in person,
I could be a little bit of a
what? A no personality? Like don't talk to me?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we all have that in us. There's a certain point too, like for you growing a team and being around so many different personality types, sometimes I'm sure it can be exhausting.
Oh yeah.
So there's a time where like you're probably going to have that hard shut off where it's like, I have no more energy for all this.
Oh yeah, no, I very clearly have hard shut offs on certain things.
Yeah.
And then I tell people too, it's like, you want to chat with me? Here's my calendar of events. I will be at all of them.
Yeah.
Like that's been my go-to when I feel like I'm, maybe have a time vampire or somebody that I don't know how they can work in, and I have people I've committed to.
Right.
So it's like, hey, I got these people on my team that signed up to be with me. I got my investors that signed up to be with me. Here's time where I'm available to meet with you that's in my schedule that you can be there and I'll be there.
Yeah.
Smart. And that's been a lifesaver.
That's smart. I feel like I wasted time on appointments for many years going to things that weren't meaningful to either my business or my personal development. And you go because you normally in the beginning of your career, you have to say yes. I feel like you have to say yes a lot to things. And then it's nice to get to a point where you can maybe say no a lot more.
Oh, yeah. I have a big no sign in my office. It just says
Good
no.
for you.
And
like
it's
that.
a reminder. And it's also just, I will tell people what the appointment's about.
Right.
And I see people, they're so excited they got an appointment. I'm like, you got to tell, like, I'll tell, hey, we're going to sit down. The goal is when I sit down with you, I'm going to show you what it's going to do, and you're going to sign a contract when you're done. If that's the course of action, that's how things go. Are you good with that? If they say, oh, well, no, I say, okay, well, let's just do a phone call then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, well, perfect. Are you going to be willing to sign if I come in there?
Mm-hmm.
And some people think it's too hard. And I'm like, but if you're out working deals, getting things done, you'll have other people to talk to that want your service.
Or you're committed or you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think a lot of people, if they were ready to sign, they're committed. And you want those people anyways.
Yeah,
Which makes the most sense. On a personal side, any plans for more kids?
No more kids.
You're
Two's
done?
good. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, they're a handful. They were causing a ruckus earlier today, so I'm gonna take them out to Coronado and give the wife the evening off. We're gonna go check out all the lights at Hotel
nice,
Bell.
man. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Didn't you guys built a house? Didn't you?
I actually designed it, got it ready, and then I got an offer I couldn't refuse, and I sold it. So
All right.
It was also at the time that we had just had my son,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like building houses and apartments, and I was like, I don't know if I want to bring work home and build a property with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And we also designed it we closed on it, and then we found out we were pregnant with my daughter, like 2 days later.
Oh, shit.
And it was designed to be like an 1,800 square foot house. And it was a cool little, Craftsman in South Park, and really couldn't go much bigger just by the lot layout. So we're going through it, and then found out my son was on the way, and I was like, I don't want to live in 1,800 square feet.
No. With 2 kids,
So
yeah.
put it out there. I got it I bought land in South Park for $137,000.
Jeez. Yeah. Okay.
And I sold it for $515,000. So it worked out okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's not bad. A little 5X.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not bad.
Not a bad one.
Yeah. Does she work?
No, she doesn't.
Yeah. Is she, do you have a tough time like decompressing after being at work and all that stuff? How do you balance it?
So the nice thing, my wife did work for several years until right after my son was born. Then we decided she wasn't going to work anymore. So one, she's amazing at that role.
Sure.
It actually is semi-rare that I'm going to go home and then take them somewhere by myself and do that. But I do it on the weekends a lot.
Right.
So that way she can decompress. She gives me an immense amount of space.
Yeah.
And I just try and fill my day, I guess you'd say, and they're part of that fill. And I avoid, and I've gotten better at this from 75 Hard, doing stuff that has no value, like watching TV.
Right.
Like football is a little hard. I like watching a little football.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get my son into it at least. But put speakers in the backyard so I can listen to it while they're on the trampoline.
Right.
And like do stuff like I try not to waste an hour somewhere and be as effective as possible. Obviously, you're not always going to be.
Right.
But the nice thing is once you set up your time and you manage it better, you feel gross in that wasted time. Like you feel it.
I think like I don't have kids yet, but having kids makes you more efficient at your time. You have to. Yeah. You're like forced into it.
Oh yeah.
I feel like our industry is challenging because we're dealing, like for you, I'm thinking in my head, I'm asking because I'm thinking in my head, dealing with multiple development projects or land builds or all these different things that you're dealing with, and then going home to the wife and the kids. Like I could imagine that it would be, I have a hard time decompressing when I get home, even just with, a handful of flips or whatever I'm dealing with and what's on my plate at the time. So I can only imagine dealing with bigger projects with bigger issues. If that stress becomes worse or if you just get better at handling it.
Yeah, I think you kind of build a callus.
Yeah.
A little bit of a callus. And then there was some stuff that you dwell on that you can't do anything about.
Right.
And I try and take that. I got it from Jocko. It's like, if it's not downrange, don't worry about it. Like you can't change it. You can't fix it. You either work with it or you don't worry about it. And it's just part of the game.
I love that.
and middle of the night, your brain's going a million miles an hour on stuff. I'm like, I can't do anything about this. Take a notepad, write down what I was thinking, put it next to me, and then I can go to bed.
Right.
I've just trained myself, like, hey, that notepad's going to make sure that, like, this thing I'm worried about isn't going to come back later, because I'm going to work on it in the morning.
Right.
But I used to be a night worker. Now I'm like a day, like early morning.
Same, yeah.
Like, it was like I would work late into the night and then feel like I had to sleep in. Now I'm like, go to bed earlier and then wake up earlier, and I feel fresh and I feel good, and
it's different, and especially because I'm sure the kids aren't up, so you're able to get maybe a little deeper work.
Yeah.
Like first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I've never been a night owl.
Yeah, I was forever.
Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was never an early morning person either, though. So it was like kind of in between that. But yeah, that's good, dude. Well, man, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
appreciate
fun.
you.
I love what you're doing.
Yeah.
I love the projects. You're
Thanks,
out there
man.
crushing it.
Trying
You're like the secret crusher. Like, I love how, like, until we played golf, I didn't realize, like, everything you're involved in. So that was really interesting.
It's been hard. It's like a weird thing of being open and sharing, and I have been becoming more and more open to sharing stuff. And I think maybe a big part of that was the title insurance stuff. Not necessarily being secret about it, but being in title insurance and then being flipping, and then like people thinking that I'm competing against them, which I don't look at it like that, but they could look at it like that. So it's just it could be a weird thing. Now I'm just in the place where I just don't care. I'm gonna share it all, and if repercussions happen where it's someone doesn't want to use me for title, it is what it is. And that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, appreciate it, man.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's been fun. So,
All right, man.
yeah,
Thanks
cool.
for having me.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.